All right. The state examiner is going to tell you if you get a full, I want you to do the in-cabin air brakes first, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to put the seatbelt on. Okay, your seatbelt ain't worn, torn, or frayed, and it securely latches. Okay? And after that, we're going to do a safe start. We're going to turn the key on. Make sure brake, neutral. My ABS light came on. And we started. Came on, now it's going back off on ABS light. So ABS light works. Now I'm going to go ahead and release the brake. Okay? And while the brake's pressuring up, I'm going to go to my mirror. My mirror is secured with nuts and bolts to the side of my door. It ain't cracked or broken. And my glass, it's clean, not cracked or broken, adjusted proper for me. Then I'm going to show you my window rolls up and down. Okay? And it's clean, not cracked or broken. Now I'm going to come across here and I'm going to get my city horn and my air horn. Now I'm going to come up here, get my windshield. It ain't cracked, broken, no obstruction in my view, seal's intact, and it does not leak. Now I'm going to show you my wipers. They got full contact to the windshield. They operate properly. The rubber seal is not worn, torn, or frayed. And as you see, I got my wiper fluid. Now, while I'm at it, while I'm up here, I'm going to go ahead and talk about my defroster. Okay? I'm going to turn the defroster on. Turn that on heat. Go ahead and show him. Okay? It works up here properly. I'm going to show him it works on my vents right here. Okay? It works properly there. Now I'm going to try it down here at the floor. Okay? Now it's working at the floor. Now what I'm going to do, guys, is for the second time, I'm going to make sure that brake's released. And it's in. Now I'm going to come across here, turn my lights on, and I'm going to show you that my tail lights work because I want to be able to see my dash at night. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and show you my left indicator works properly. My right indicator works properly. Emergency flashing works properly. And my high beam works properly. And my running lights. Okay, now, after I do that right there, I'm going to go ahead and talk about my gauges. Now I'm going to start with my water temp. It's 165 to 185. I'm going to show you my oil pressure. It's 35 to 75. I'm going to go ahead and get my depth. I got an adequate level now over here. Now I'm going to come over here. I got my volts. They're 12 to 14 on my volts. Now I'm going to add a zeros to them, and that is going to be my air pressure on my primary and secondary, which is 120 to 140. And I got adequate level on my fuel gauge. Now, after I get through with that, I'm going to check for the third and final time, make sure it's released. And then I'm going to kill the truck. And then I'm going to turn the key back on. Okay, as you can see, scan the computer. Okay, ABS light comes on. And I'm going to go ahead and show you LWPPS. The L is for the leak test. Okay, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to set that in a minute. I'm going to start my timer after I find out I got my initial drop. Waiting on that initial drop. Okay, it's holding steady now. Now I'm going to start that timer. Now on this right here is I'm just checking my tractor. Even though I got electric trailer getting a Class A, you still got to do your air brakes for your tractor, which is should not have no less than 3 PSI on this. Can't believe you're making me do this again. My leg's gonna be hurting tonight.
I think we got this part, didn't we?
Huh?
I think we got this part. You just missed the...
I want to do it again.
Okay.
So you can have it all in one. Okay, right there. That was a good test. It didn't leak no more than 3 PSI in that minute. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my warning light test. I'm going to pump it up. My warning light will come on before 60. Okay, it came on, primary and secondary. Now I'm going to keep pumping. My protection valve pump out between 40 and 20, which it did. Now I don't have no air pressure, so I'm going to do the pressure buildup, okay? I'm going to turn the key on, wait on the computer, scan the gauges. Brake set, still in neutral. This is safe start. I'm going to start it. Now this is a pressure buildup, and then see my ABS light came on, it went back off. Now I'm going to go ahead and set the idle up on this. I'm going to hold it between 12 to 15. And as you can see, I've got increments here. 30. Okay, now I'm going to grab that launch. Now at 85, I'm going to start this. Right there is 85. Now I'm going to hold off on it a second, let it idle by itself. It's going to get to the 100. Okay, boom, I stopped right there. It didn't take no more than 45 seconds to get from 85 to 100, so that was a good test. Now I'm going to keep idling until I get my air cut off. Okay, now I hear they're cut off. Now I'm going to try my truck brake. All I'm going to do is leave my brake on, put it in drive, accelerate. Okay, my truck brake held. Now I'm going to release that, and I'm going to try my electric brake module. I'm going to bump it all the way up to 14. I'm going to squeeze on it. It's going to move for a sec, and then it's going to stop. Okay, so my electric brake works. Now I'm going to drop that back down to about 2 to 3. Now I'm going to get up to 5 miles an hour. This is my service brake. I'm going to get up to 5 miles an hour. I'm going to let go of the wheel. Stop the truck, let go of it barely to make sure it didn't pull left or right. If it did, I'd go have it serviced, which it didn't. So that was a good test. So I'm going to go ahead and secure it. Then I'm going to ask him, will you please assist me on an outside light check? And then after I do that, we're going to start with the front of the vehicle, the approach, engine compartment to the hub seal. And then we're going to go from the driver's door to the fuel area to the side. Okay, on this pre-trip test, you got 40 minutes. It don't matter if you got the engine compartment, the approach, engine compartment to the hub seal, or if you got the driver's side door all the way to the back of the underneath and then to the back of the truck, or you got the coupling and the trailer. Okay, right now we're just doing A. If there's anything you need to the other side, we're going to talk about that. Okay, we're going to come up here and make sure it's not leaning, there's no fluid, puddles, or drips under there. Now we're going to come on up here and we're going to talk about our lights. Okay, I got my high and low beam right here. They're clear in color, they're clean, not cracked or broken, they're secure and they operate properly. As over here, I got my running lights and my turn signals. They're amber in color, they're clean, not cracked or broken, and it's secure and they also work properly. Now I'm going to come to the side and talk about my directionals and my running lights. They're clean, they're amber in color, they're not cracked or broken, they're secure and they work properly. Now we're going to go to the top of my running lights. They're secure with screws, they're not cracked or broken, they're clean and amber in color, and they work properly as well. Now right here I'm going to go ahead and open my door, my hood latch right here on this side. Now I'm going to talk about my fender mirror. My fender mirror, no loose missing bolts on it. It's secured to the body. It ain't cracked, broken, and my mirror is clean, secure, not cracked, broken as well, and it operates properly. Now I'm going to come to the other side. Go ahead and open this one out. Now I'm going to come back to the front here. I'm going to talk about the body of my hood. It ain't cracked, broken, no obstruction in my view. It opens and closes properly. Now assist me on this side. Now over here, I'm going to go ahead and get all my hoses and clamps. My clamps are secure and tight. My hose not worn, torn, or frayed, and they're secure. No signs of leaks. Now I'm going to follow my coolant hoses. They're not worn, torn, or frayed. They're secure with clamps, and they're not leaking. And as you can follow my hose back here, it goes to my gear-driven water pump. My water pump, it's not cracked, broken. There's no loose or missing bolts, and it does not leak. Okay, while I'm out of here, I'm going to go ahead and talk about my belt-driven alternator. My belt on my belt-driven alternator is not worn, torn, or frayed. No more than a half, 3/4 play on that belt. My alternator, not cracked, broken, no loose or missing bolts. It's secure and tight. Okay, my wires, they're not cut, spliced, no bare wires, and they're secured to my, with nuts and bolts on my alternator. Now I'm going to come on out here, and I'm going to go ahead and show you my wiper fluid reservoir. No loose missing bolts, it's secured to the frame. The wires are not cut, spliced, or taped. The hose are not worn, torn, or frayed, and clamps in place, and it does not leak, and it's got adequate level. My lid is secure and tight, and it does not leak as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and go the other side now, guys. Come with me. Now over here, I'm going to go ahead and get all my fluids. Okay, right here, we got my coolant. Okay, as you can see, it's got adequate level. There's no loose or missing bolts on it. It's secure and tight to the frame. My wires are not cut, spliced, taped. Connectors are connected again. My hose is not worn, torn, or frayed, and they're also secure with the clamp, and they do not leak. My cap is secure and tight, and it doesn't leak as well. Now I'm going to do my hoses and clamps here on the bottom. My hose is not worn, torn, or frayed. The clamp's secure and tight, and it does not leak. While I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and talk about my oil. I'd pull my dipstick out, wipe it off, put it back in, and then pull it out again and make sure it's between add and full. If I had to add it, I'd add it up here on top. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and get my transmission fluid in idling. Okay, I pull the dipstick out, check it, make sure it's between hot and cold, adequate level. And after I did that right there, make sure it's got adequate level. When I pulled out, wiped it off, put it back in, I'd feel it right here. Now I'm going to go ahead and get my power steering reservoir right here, guys. Okay, my cap is secure and tight. Does not leak, rubber seals intact. There's no loose missing bolts on to the bracket. Ain't cracked or damaged. And as you see, I got adequate level between the hot and cold when you check it. And then my hoses, my clamps are secure and tight. Does not leak. Now I check my hose going down to my power steering pump. It ain't worn, torn, or frayed. I'm going to follow it down. It's going to go down here to my gear-driven power steering pump. There's no loose missing bolts on it. It ain't cracked or damaged, and it does not leak. The fittings are secure and tight. Now right behind it is I got a gear-driven air compressor. Okay, my air compressor, the fittings are secure and tight. It's gear-driven. It ain't cracked or damaged. No loose missing bolts, and it does not leak. Okay, now I'm going to come out here and I'm going to get all my steering components. I'm going to start with my steering linkage right here. There's no excessive movement. Ain't cracked or damaged. Got a U-joint on each end. My U-joints are not cracked, broken, they're not worn. They're properly greased, and no loose missing bolts on them. Now I'm going to come on down here, and this is my steering box. My steering box is secure with nuts and bolts. Ain't cracked or damaged, no illegal welds on it. And my fittings are secure and tight, the clamps. My hose is not worn, torn, or frayed, and they're properly greased. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk about my pitman arm here. It's got a bolt and nut. It's secure and tight. Ain't loose or missing. And there's no illegal welds or rust trails on my pitman arm. It ain't cracked. Now I'm going to go down here to my castle nut or crown nut and the cotter pin. Okay? Make sure it's in place. The rubber bushing's in place and it's properly greased. Now it goes over here to my steering arm or steering linkage. My steering linkage. Okay? There's no excessive movement. Ain't cracked, broken, no illegal welds on that as well, or rust trails. Comes on over here, if you look, okay, right here I got a crown nut and cotter pin on its side with the rubber bushing, and it's properly greased. And it connects to my steering knuckle. My steering knuckle right here. Okay, it ain't cracked, damaged, no illegal welds on it, or rust trails as well. And it goes up here. There's no loose missing bolts. And as you can see, it is properly greased with the grease insert. Now right below there, I got a tie rod, guys. My tie rod. Okay, it's got a crown nut and cotter pin on each end on both sides. And the boot's in place and it's properly greased. No loose missing bolts. It ain't cracked or damaged. Okay, that's all my steering components. Now I'm going to go to my suspension, guys. I'm going to start right here with my leaf spring. My leaf springs. There's no loose or missing bolts. It ain't cracked or damaged. No illegal welds or rust trails. And it's got a nut and bolt right here. And on my leaf springs, there's a rubber bushing in place. You got to make sure it's in there. And then my leaf springs not shifted, cracked, or broken. Now, as you can see right here is I got a shock. There's a rubber bushing on place on each end. And there's no loose or missing bolts on it, and it does not leak. And right behind it there, I got U-bolts. They're not cracked, damaged. They're secure and tight. Okay, remember you got your leaf springs, you got 2 of them, so make sure you talk about them. Okay, that's all the suspension. Now we're going to go to the braking components, guys. Okay, this is my service line that supplies air to my brake chamber. The fittings are secure and tight. My hose not worn, torn, or frayed. And it does not leak. It supplies air to my brake chamber. My brake chamber, no loose missing bolts. It ain't cracked, damaged. The clamp is secure and tight, and it does not leak. Now, when my brake's released, right here I got a push rod. There should be no more than 1 inch of travel on that push rod, and it ain't bent or broken. Okay, or it wouldn't work properly. As you can see right here is I got a slack adjuster. The clevis right here, the pins are in place. They're not broken or missing. And as you can see right here, it's properly greased. And there's no loose missing bolts. Now, on in here is I got my brake lining, guys. It ain't worn dangerously thin, which is no less than 1/4 inch. It ain't cracked or damaged. And no contaminants. Now right here is I got my drum. Right here. My drum is even wear. There's no holes. It ain't cracked or damaged. And if I don't have no contaminants on my lining, I ain't going to have them on my drum. Now I'm going to come out to my tire here, guys. I got even wear. I got 4/32 on the depth. I got 100 pounds of pressure of water recommended by the manufacturer, and I checked it with the tire gauge. Now I'm going to come to the side and make sure there's no ain't bulges, cracks, or dry rot, and it's seated to the rim, and it does not leak. Now my rim. Okay, make sure it ain't cracked. There's no illegal welds or rust trails on it. Then I got a valve stem here. It's got a DOT metal cap, and it ain't cracked, broken, and it does not leak. Now my lug nuts. They're secure and tight. There's no radiant cracks or distortion. If I don't have no rust trails on my rim, I ain't going to have them on my lug nuts. Now I'm going to go inside and do my hub seal. Okay, it's got adequate level. It does not leak, and no loose or missing bolts. Okay, that completes the front approach all the way to the engine to the hub seal. Okay, now I'm going to secure the hood, and I'm going to do that right now. Keep that going. Now, if I just had the approach engine to the hub seal, I'd start now and show him my safety equipment inside. And then I'd go back here and do my coupling and show him my coupling. So right now, we're going to go ahead and then we'll do the light check afterwards, and then the in-cabin air brake test if you just had one section. But if you have the whole section, you're going to start with the in-cabin air brakes and your light check, and then start at the very beginning of the vehicle to the back of the vehicle. So right now I'm going to go ahead and start, and we're going to do the driver's side door to the fuel area, to the side, to the back of the truck. And I'm going to start on the other side because they're going to ask you, is there anything you need to the side? Check those items. So when we do B, we're going to come around here. And I'm going to go ahead and show you my safety equipment. Hang on just a second. Now I'm going to come over here and show you my safety equipment on B. What I do is I want to talk about my fire extinguisher. It's properly charged, secure, and tag up to date. I got my fuses and bulbs in here. And right back here, I got my 3 red triangle reflectors, and I got my first aid kit. Now I'm going to go ahead and shut my door. Now I got my batteries. My battery. I'd open this up, my batteries. You're just telling this. My batteries are secure. They're not leaking. And there's no debris, and the wires are not cut, splice, or tape, and no corrosion on my clamps. Then I put my lid, make sure my lid is secure and tight. Now right under that is I got my air tanks. The fittings and hoses are not worn, torn, or frayed. The fittings are secure. They do not leak. Okay, and my clamps are secure with nuts and bolts. Make sure my tank is secure and tight. There's no severe dents, no holes, and it does not leak. And it also is drained daily. Now while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and talk about my exhaust. My clamps are secure and tight to the frame with nuts and bolts. They're secure down here. There's no signs of soot. My clamps are secure and tight, and it does not leak. Now, if you come on the other side, please. Now I'm going to start with my mirror while I'm over here. Okay, my mirror is secured to the side of the door. No loose missing bolt on each end. It ain't cracked or damaged. I got a run light turn signal up here. It's amber in color, it's clean, not cracked or broken, secure, and it works properly. Now I'm going to go with my mirrors. My mirrors are clean, not cracked or broken, and they're also adjusted properly for me. Now I'm going to talk about my door. Okay? And on my door, make sure the hinges, it opens and closes properly. They're not broken or missing. Show them that my window rolls up and down. It's clean, not cracked or broken. And as you can see, my seal's intact on my door. Okay? And then right now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you about my handrail. My handrail is secure and tight with nuts and bolts. It's not loose or missing. And then I'm going to go ahead and show you that my door shuts properly. Now I'm going to go ahead, while I'm up here, I'm going to go ahead and talk about on my front of my dump bed there, right? My running lights, they're amber in color, they're clean, not cracked or broken. They're secure, and they also work properly. Now I'm going to come on down here, and I'm going to go ahead and get my cap, strap, and tanks. My cap, secure and tight, rubber seal's intact, and it does not leak. It's got an adequate level. My straps, they're not cracked or broken. There's no loose missing bolt. They're secure and tight. My tank, there's no severe dents, no holes, does not leak. It's got adequate level. My steps, they're not cracked or broken. There's no loose missing bolts, and there's no debris on there. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk about my depth tank. My cap is secure and tight, rubber seal's intact. Okay, now I'm talking about my supports. There's no loose missing bolts on them. They ain't cracked or damaged. And my tank, no severe dents, no holes, no signs of leaks, and it's got adequate level. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and talk about my handrail here on my dump bed. It works properly. It ain't cracked, broken, or missing. The safety latch is in the lock position, in the holding position. Now, while I'm at it, I'm going to talk about my bed cover here. Okay, there's no loose missing bolts on it. It's secured to my frame. The pins are in place. And my tarp, it operates properly. Now, there's no holes, no illegal welds on the side of my bed. Now come on under here and we're going to talk about my frame. Okay, on my frame. It's not cracked. There's no illegal welds or rust trails on my frame. my cross members right here. There's no loose missing bolts. They're secure and tight, and they're not cracked or broken. And there's no holes in my floor. Now I'm going to talk about my drive shaft. My drive shaft, okay, it ain't cracked, broken, not twisted. My U-joints, there's no loose or missing bolts, and it's properly greased on it. Now if you come back here, on this very top up here, I got a torque arm that goes across. Okay, there's no loose missing bolts on either side. It's got a rubber bushing in place, and it's not broken or missing. Okay, now while we're here, we're going to go ahead and talk about my service line. My service lines, they supply air to my brake chamber, but my service lines are not worn, torn, or frayed. Okay, the fittings are secure and tight, and they supply air to my brake chamber. My brake chamber is not cracked, broken, no holes. The clamp's secure and tight, no loose missing bolts, and it does not leak. Okay, it goes to my push rod. When released, my push rod should not have more than 1 inch of travel. Okay, and it should be bent or broken or it wouldn't work properly. Then I got my slack adjuster right here. My slack adjuster, no loose missing bolts. The pins are in place. And there's no loose missing bolts on the other side, and it's properly greased. Then it goes inside here to my brake lining. My brake lining. It's not worn dangerously thin, which is no less than 1/4 of an inch. It ain't cracked or broken, and no contaminants. Well, my drum's right below it there. My drum's got even wear. There's no holes. It ain't cracked or broken. And if I don't have no contaminants on my lining, I ain't gonna have them on my drum. Okay, now while I'm at it here, that's all my braking components. Now I'm gonna do my suspension. I got a leaf ring hangers right here. No missing bolts to my frame. They're not cracked, no illegals or rust trails on mine. And then I'm going to come on down here. My leaf spring hanger goes to my leaf springs. There's no loose missing bolts on that. The rubber bushing's in place. And my leaf springs have not shifted, cracked, or broken. Now I'm going to come on back here to my U-bolts. They're secure and tight. They're not cracked or broken. And the nuts are secure and tight. Then I'm going to go on back there, and I got my shock, no loose bolts on each end. The rubber bushing's in place, and it does not leak. On back here, as you can see, is that I got a airbag. My airbag's not worn, torn, or frayed. It doesn't leak. Okay, and my hoses and fittings are secure and tight, and they don't leak as well. And then I got my airbag mounts with my bracket, no loose missing bolts on them. Now I'm going to come on out here and I'm going to get my bud spacing. Okay, let me get up here. I got evenly spaced in my bud spacing and no debris. Now I'm going to come on out and I'm going to talk about my tire. My tire. There's 2 tires, so I got 2 30-seconds on the depth. Okay, even wear. I got 100 pounds of pressure, water recommended by the manufacturer, and I checked it with the tire gauge. I'm going to check the side of my tire. No bulges, cracks, or dry rot. It's seated to my rim and it does not leak. Now my rim, there's no cracks, no illegal welds or rust trails on this. And then right here I got my valve stem. It's secure with nuts. It ain't cracked or broken. The cap's secure and tight and it doesn't leak. Now I'm going to go right here to my lug nuts. My lug nuts are secure and tight. There's no radiant cracks or distortion. And if I don't have no rust trails on my rim, I ain't going to have them on my lug nuts. Now I got an axle seal here. The axle seal. Okay, it's secure and tight with nuts. The gasket's in place. Adequate level and does not leak. Now I'm going to come on back here and get my red running lights. Okay, they're secure. They're clean, cracked or broken. They're secure with seal. And they operate properly. Now I'm going to come on to the back here and I'm going to talk about my mud flaps. There's no loose or missing bolts. They ain't worn, torn, or frayed. And they're secure and tight. Right next to it is here, I got my lights. These are my running lights, my turn signal, and my brake lights. They're secure with screws. They're not cracked or broken. They're clean and they work properly. There's my reverse light. It's clear in color. It's clean, not cracked or broken, and it also works properly. Right next to it there, I got my tag. It's legible. It's secured to the bracket. And the light, it's clear in color, it's clean. Not cracked or broken, it's clear in color, and it works properly. Now I'm going to come up here to my running lights on the back. Okay, my running lights, they're clean, not cracked or broken, they're red in color, they're secure with seal, and they also work properly. Now I'm going to come on up to my tailgate. My tailgate, the reflective tape's in place, it ain't loose or missing. And my tailgate, it's secure. The latch is in the lock position, ain't cracked or broken, and it works properly. And then while I'm at it, I got my red backlights. They're clear in color, clean, not cracked or broken, and they also work properly. Okay, that's it for just the part from the driver's side door to the bottom of the truck, to the rear axle, to the back of your truck. Now, what you do the coupling right now. Okay, on the coupling, we're going to talk about that. Okay, as you can see right here on my coupling, my safety latch is in the lock position. Okay, they're no cut, spliced or bare wires. They're not rubbing on nothing. On my electrical connector, it's seated in lock position, like I said. Okay, I got my D-rings right here. They're not broken or missing. Then, as you can see, is my safety chains. They're secure around my D-locks and to the front of my trailer, and they're not broken or missing. Okay, on these, and they're secure and they're crossed. Okay, and they're not dragging on the ground. Okay, now I'll do that. Now after I do that, I'm going to sit here and talk about the back of my pendle hooks right here, and my latch. Okay, my latch is secure to the bed. They're not cracked, broken, no loose missing bolts, and they're secure to that, and there's no loose missing pins. And my hook, the safety latch is in the lock position with safety pins. Okay, right here. And then I got the front of my fisheye right here. It's secured to the front of my tongue. There's no loose missing bolts. It ain't cracked or damaged, not worn or broken. Okay, then I got my breakaway chain right here. Okay, the cable's not broken or missing. It's secured to the back of the truck. It's also secured to my breakaway here, Mercy breakaway line. And my Mercy breakaway line, it's secure. It's not loose or missing. I'd pull it, and it automatically locked the trailer down. Okay, and then it goes back here to my battery for it. My battery, push the button, it works properly. Okay, so that's all my coupling right now. Okay, now I'm going to do the trailer now. Okay, the trailer. We're going to go ahead and still talk about the plate here and everything else, and the tongue. Okay. It ain't cracked. There's no illegal welds or rust trails on it. Okay, and my landing gear. I'm going to have to talk about my landing gear on my coupling as well. So I'm doing that as my trailer too, because it's part of the trailer. Okay, it's in the feet. It's in the upright position. It ain't cracked or broken. It's secure. There's no loose missing bolts on it. My handle is secure. No loose missing bolts, and it's also properly greased. And I don't have no illegal welds on it, as you can see. And now I'm going to come on down here to the side. I'm checking in my basket, make sure there's no debris. And the hole, it's got that flex chain, and it ain't broken or missing, and no debris. Now I'm going to talk about my tongue. It's secured to the side, the front of the trailer. There's no illegal welds or rust trails on it. It's secure and tight. There's no damage. The front of my trailer, it ain't cracked, broken. Okay, as I'm coming across, I'm going to go ahead and talk about my amber running lights. Okay, they're secure, they're clean, not cracked or broken. They also seals intact, and they work properly. Now I'm going to go down the side of my trailer. On the side of my trailer, running lights, amber in color, they're clean, not cracked or broken, seals intact. My D-rings are not broken or missing. I got my reflective tape. It's not loose or missing. It's evenly spaced. And then I go ahead and talk about my back on top of my trailer. If I had a load, make sure my load's secure. Okay? And there's no holes in the floor. Now I'm going to come on down here. Now I'm going to go, let's get under here with me. Okay? So what we're going to do is get under here. Okay, we're going to talk about my longitudinal frame. It ain't cracked, broken, no illegal welds or rust trails. And you can see as my cross members, there's no illegal welds or rust trails on that. They're secure and tight and they work properly. Now I'm going to follow this on down. I got my electric brake lines right here. Okay? They're right here. Okay, they're not dangling. There's no cut, spliced, no bare wires. And it goes back down here to my electric brake system. Okay, it connects down here with my brake module, and it cut, spliced, no bare wires, and it works properly. And right here it goes to a brake module. It's connected. They're not cut, spliced, damaged. And right here is I got my cover to my brake, and they're not loose or missing bolts. And right here is I got my brake lining. They're not more than dangerously thin. They're not broken, cracked, and no contaminants on them. And then I got my drum here. I got even wear on my drum. Okay, there's no hose, ain't cracked or broken, and no contaminants on it. Okay, that's all my braking components. Now I'm going to go up here to my leaf spring hangers and my leaf springs. My leaf spring hanger, no illegal welds or rust trails on it. Ain't cracked or damaged. No loose missing bolts. And then I got a rubber bushing in my leaf springs right here. And then I'm going to talk about my leaf spring hangers. They're not shifted, cracked, or broken. Remember, on these hangers, I got one on each end. And then my U-bolts. There's no loose or missing bolts. Ain't cracked or damaged. They're secure and tight. And then, okay, I'm going to come on out. Okay, now I'm going to do my bud spacing while I'm here. Okay, my bud spacing. I got evenly spaced, no debris. Right here. Now I'm going to come on out, and I'm going to talk about my tire. My tire. I got even wear on my tire. It's got 2/32. It's got 100 pounds of pressure, or whatever's recommended by the manufacturer, and I checked it with the tire gauge. Okay, now I'm going to check the side of my tire. There's no bulges, cracks, or dry rot. Okay, it's seated to my rim, and it does not leak. Okay, while I'm coming out, I got another amber running light on the side. It's clear, clean, not cracked or broken, seals intact. It works properly. Now I'm going to go ahead and finish up my rim. My rim is no illegal welds or rust trails. Okay. And then I got it right here. I got a valve stem. It's got a DOT metal cap, and ain't cracked or broken, and it does not leak. Now I got my right here is I got my lug nuts. There's no loose or missing lug nuts on that. There's no rating, cracks, or distortion. And then I got my seal here. Okay, it's got adequate level in it, and it does not leak on that. Right over here is I'll do this axle, same of this axle. Now as I'm coming on back, I'm going to talk about make sure my D-rings, my strap holders and ratchets are secure and tight. Now I'm going to do my dovetail here. But below my dovetail is I got my mud flap. Ain't worn, torn, or frayed. There's no loose missing bolts on it. And then I'm going to talk about my dovetail here. Okay, my reflective tape. And then as you can see, I got a run light back here. It's red in color, clean, not cracked or broken, seals intact, it works properly. Then I'm going to go ahead and do my load ramps. Okay, the safety latch is in the lock. The chains are secure, not loose or missing. Okay, and then they're secure. Now I'm going to come on back to the back, and I'm going to talk about the reflective tape on the back of my ramps. They're secure and it's not loose or missing. And then I'm going to talk about my lights. I got my running lights, my turn signal, and my brake lights. They're clean, not cracked or broken. They're secured with rubber seal, and they all work properly. And on my ramps, right here, the pivots, there's no loose or missing bolts and ain't damaged and works properly. The respective tape is not loose or missing. Then I'm going to come up here. I got my tag. It's legible, no loose or missing bolts. And right here, as you can see, is I got my tag light. It's clear in color. It's clean and it works properly. Okay, that concludes my pre-trip.